Hello and welcome again. This is Olusobanjo. Happy New Year. This is the very first live that I'm going to be doing this year, and I'm super excited to be here. And if you want a fail-proof planning structure for your life this year, this is the training that you don't want to miss. And I want to especially welcome everyone that is joining me for the very first time. If you don't know me, my name is Olu Sobanjo. I'm a business coach, and I talk about videos, and I talk about, how you can, get out there and share your expertise with the world. And I want you to actually, bring all those things that God has, willingly given to you, and experiences that you have, skills and ideas, bring them to the world. People need to see this. Okay, so this is what I do, and I have a program I have programs, that my clients actually go on, where we actually break down and start from your expertise, and you go into profits. Okay, we want to, I work with you hand in hand, to go from where you are right now to actually profits in the bank. Okay, so that's me. And on the side, I'm also actually, my full-time role is as a pastor. With my husband, I pastor a church, and I thank God for what God is doing in my life. And this year, usually I used to do this at 11 p.m. Eastern. Quickly, I just want to make this announcement that if you're joining me here on Facebook, this is going to always be at noon. Okay, Tuesdays at noon, we're going to have this Q&A session, and I'm really glad to be doing this with you. And so if you're watching again, you're coming back after my break there, welcome again. And if you're meeting me for the first time, thank you for joining me. Now, I'd like to hear from you, so put replay, hashtag replay, or say something so that I can know you're there live as well. Okay, so, and if you're watching from YouTube, subscribe, turn on the notification. You know how it works, just so you know that, whenever I go live, you can have that. Okay, so today I'm going to jump straight into what I have for you. And the last couple of days, actually, after my abundance planner came out, if you don't have the abundance planner, if you look on my page, you will find a link to it. Just go to, actually, you can go to olusobanja.com/a planner, and you'll be able to download a free copy of that soft copy of the planner. It's a PDF, but you can actually type into it, so it's really good for you. You can add everything, and you can always go back to it later. Okay, so after the abundance planner came out, I got a lot of questions around, and I meet a lot of people that have said, I plan every year after year. I plan, but these things don't happen, and so usually what happens is you feel like, what, maybe I shouldn't even plan anymore, because I plan, and I've been in this position personally. You plan, and you actually get to the end of the year, and I remember earlier on, I would plan at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, I'll be looking for where I wrote whatever the plan was, okay, that I wanted to do. So you can imagine that, I did the planning in January, but then, January, February, March, April, May, till December, I don't even remember what the plan was. And I just coast along. I just follow everybody. I just follow whatever comes, right? That's not, the way I would like you to run your life. And that's not the way you are supposed to run your life, because, God, God sent you here to be a changer, world changer, and God has invested so much in you that He wants you to not just run, and follow everyone. He wants you to follow Him and listen to His instructions, and actually be a change in our world. Now, I have to be, clear with you and say that there's a lot of, challenges that we go through in life that actually make it look as if, that actually makes it really difficult to jump in and actually believe the plan that God has for us, and actually jump into them and start to see them come to life. But that's why I've decided that I'm going to do this today, because I want this year, 2021, to be the best year for you. Okay. And what do I want? Whatever it is that you can receive from God as your plan. Okay. Again, if you've not downloaded the Abundance Planner, go to olusobanjo.com in short, go to olusobanjo.com and you will find the Abundance Planner there. And if you've not gone through that, please go through it. Okay. It's going to help you really, get to the point where you actually now plan a fruitful year. Okay. Now, again, the idea is not, it's the whole framework that I teach helps you to create a side business or in your influence and impact to the world with videos and whatever it is that you want to use, to share your message with the world, but with the mindset that God created you and God has an original plan in mind. Now let that sink in. I'm sure you may know this already, but if you're just hearing this for the very first time, or if you're just trying to accept it for the very first time, let it sink in. That the King of Kings, that's the owner of this world, the one that created all of this, had an original plan in mind when he sent you here. And so he wants you to be able to, walk hand in hand with him, that you're able to, be that to the world. There may be some people right now somewhere in the world that are praying and waiting for you to come. Now, it doesn't mean that you're literally going to go to meet them, but thank God for Facebook. Now, you're watching this, you may not have seen me ever before. That's exactly how people are going to find your video, and they're going to, say, you know what, I like what this person is saying. I need this person to help me. And whether it's to bring profit to yourself or just to be, just to bring impact to the world, we need you to rise up. Okay. And so what I want to share with you is the back end mindset that you need to have in order to actually not just plan, but actually have a year that finishes strong, that you finish strong in. Okay. And what I shared with my people in my community yesterday, how back in the days, I used to struggle, and I'll be wondering when am I going to be able to actually do all of these things that God has put in my heart to do. But today I'm really grateful to God that I'm able to connect with you right here. At a point in my past, you were in the history. I mean, you were in the future, you were in the future. And I was wondering, when am I going to be able to actually get to connect with you, and I'm glad that today we're connecting, right? So I want you three things that I want to share with you that is going to, change the way you implement and you live your life all through 2021. And I'm going to share that right now. The very first one is this. Now, you need to take full responsibility of your life, for your life. Okay. Take full responsibility for your life. Okay. And what do I mean by that? You need to rise up and be the leader of your own life. Now, remember I said everything that I share is based on the fact that you have God as the owner of your life. Okay. Now you need to now step up as the leader. And the reason why I use the word leader or responsibility is we grew, depending on other people to decide what happens in your life. But you see, the truth of the matter is that even though a lot of people would have, contributed into who you are and where you are today, you are still fully responsible, because at the end of it all, they're not going to go back and ask, the people in your life how you lived your life. No, you're going to be responsible. So you might as well rise up and start to live that life. And where does that leadership come from? The leadership, the area of leadership is self-leadership, where you would actually hear God. Don't wait for another person to hear for you. Okay, you hear God and you say, and I'm going to give you an example. There was a time in my life that I felt like, I think I may have been praying or kind of meditating or something like that, and I felt like I was at a door. Okay, this wasn't something that was happening in consciousness. I was actually lying down, but I felt like, in the spiritual or in my mind, I had got to a door, and I was standing behind that door, and I wouldn't open the door. Okay, and this was God's way of waking me up and saying, I'm telling you, open this door. Okay, now it may, and it was not until that time that I began to now step out and, try. And I'm going to show you why this happens, in just with the couple of, with the next point, actually, I'm going to show you some of the reasons why this happens. Now, so it was not until I opened the door, literally, consciously, subconsciously opened the door and held onto, and I said, God, help me, that, because what happens is, you have in the second point that I have for you, after you rise up and become the leader in your life, is you need to identify some of the the invisible barriers that are in your life. Okay, the invisible roadblocks that are there. Now, I call them invisible. Some people will call them invisible scripts. Some people will call them invisible roadblocks and barriers and all of that. Now, if you don't identify these things, this actually is one major reason, apart from not planning realistically. This is one reason why New Year resolutions don't work. Because at the beginning of the year, if you have this excitement and you have all of these things that you want to do, you have all of them, and you're not doing them because of the fact that I'm glad to have you live. Thank you for joining me live. So it's impossible that it's important for you to actually identify the ideas that are limiting you. And see, I don't want you to just, it doesn't stop at identifying them. It doesn't stop at just, saying, okay, now this is the, and I'm going to give you a few ideas, okay? A few, I read a book by Gay Hendrick, I think, and he was talking about, the big leap. Like, if you want to do a big leap, you need to identify these things that are holding you back. And what usually happens is, in January, when you plan the year and you say, I'm going to, you get an idea, an audacious idea, I'm going to, make $1 million or something that makes sense to you. Okay. And you have that idea, but then February comes in. Thanks for the heart. February comes in and you drop the idea. You completely drop the idea. Why? Because of the invisible barriers that are in your head that are limiting you. And the Bible says, in a portion, it says, as a man thinks in Proverbs, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. Okay, as a woman thinks in her heart, so she is. Now, if you and there's another scripture that says, guard your heart diligently, because out of it flows issues of life. Another translation says, for it determines what your life is going to look like. So now if you don't identify some of those things that are limiting you, and you begin to put systems in place, which is now the third point that I'm going to share with you, you identify them, and I'm going to give you 4 that Gay Hendrick used. I'm going to modify them. The very first one, the very first, invisible barrier that he mentioned is, I'm not good enough. Like, fundamentally, I just, there's something wrong with me. Now, usually this stems from from childhood. Okay, there's somebody in your life, somebody really important in your life may have said some, really hurtful words to you growing up. Okay, and they may have said something like, you're so stupid, you're so, how children, as a child, you can goof around, right? You may be forgetful, you may be silly, and and so many times people that are older and are not careful, and sometimes we, even adults, we have to be careful, the way we deal with our children. Some of the things that you say, they can become a stronghold, okay? And then later on in life, this person begins to, they say, I want to start a business this year. And then as much as they've written it on their calendar that they're going to start this year, what usually now happens is, February comes and the reality starts to set in. Now, this idea starts to come back. Maybe I'm not even, good enough, and I don't even think I can possibly do this. This is not possible. It's not, it's not going to happen. What am I even fooling myself, and all of these things start to come in, especially because, the truth of the matter is nothing happens like this, right? You think about a farmer, okay? A farmer would go to the farm and would plant something, and imagine if the farmer goes the next morning and thinks, oh my God, where has it grown? Has it grown? Because things don't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. If you find something that they promise you is going to happen overnight, run, okay? It takes time. And because of the time that it takes, people around and your mind and this idea of who gave me the audacity to think that I can actually achieve anything. Or maybe you look around you and you're like, nobody has ever achieved this kind of thing in my life. When I was going to do my first program, I didn't have anybody that I knew close to me that had achieved that. I'd never seen anyone that I personally knew. I saw the gurus out there that were saying, oh, you can sell your wisdom, you can sell your skills online, and I would, want to connect with these people. And I couldn't, there was nobody around me. And many times I would hear people would say to me, who says, I remember the first time I told, one of my very close family members, and I told them, they're like, are you cheating people? Why would somebody pay you this much money to guide them? And I was like, this is exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is, and you begin to look at some of those comments would come into you and you're like, I may be fooling myself actually. And these are the things that would shortchange the way things happen. And again, if you bring it back to the way God works, okay, if you bring it back to the way God works, when God gives you a vision and he says, write it down, make it plain, so you can run with it, okay, because what's going to happen is a lot of, people are going to come and in your mind too, the feeling of, I'm not good enough is going to come up and you're going to feel like, it's not possible. Let me rush, through the next point. The next point is I'm going to lose people and be alone. Now, this is a big one. You know how I say I don't know anyone personally that has done some of the things that I want to do, and so I start to, feel, if you do like this, everybody is going to leave. You're going to leave everybody. And then what happens to your family? The people around you, you're going to lose connection with all of them, because you're going to be higher there and you're going to, no, you bring them up. You bring all the people around you up. Okay. So these are some of the things that I have felt. Okay. These are some of the things that have gone through my mind, and it's very important that you identify if it's there. Now, some of you may be like, what? No, I don't really care. I remember, there was a time in short, not even there was a time, up till today, sharing on Facebook where people that I know, family, friends, and family members would see is I'm still, I still find myself thinking and wondering, should I share? Should I not? Should I, because, first of all, I'm like, everybody is going to be coming to ask for money. Everybody is going to be coming to, oh, now you have money, you should, and I'm like, no, you need to, understand that these are invisible barriers that are going to limit you. Okay. And then the next one is success is evil. Okay. You start to look at, maybe some of this ambition, they are mine, they are your ambitions. And then sometimes you start to think it's evil to be thinking that you want wealth. It's evil to start to think that you want to be able to help other people. Who are you? Where I grew up, if you're watching this and you're not, I'm a Nigerian, Canadian, and and my Nigerian side, okay, will say, "Who born you?" Okay, like who gave birth to you? To what are you princess or some kind of thing like that? Why do you think that you can actually achieve this thing? And you start to think that it's actually a bad thing to want to help people, to want to share your message, to want to be make a difference. And you start to think, oh, it's proud. I mean, it's pride. It's this. Many of these things are just invisible barriers that are going to keep you stuck. And those things, you need to identify them. And if you don't identify them, what would happen is in February, you do a good planning at the beginning of the year, but then February hits and you trash it, because the reality would set in and you'll be like, you know what, forget it. Okay, you just got my Nigerian side again. Forget it, right? And the last one that I have there is, what if I outshine everyone? Now, these are points that that Gay Hendrick used in his own book, and these are things that I identify with, and I've identified with at different points, that and I know that if you don't identify them and then begin to work on them, again, it doesn't happen overnight. If after this training, after this video right now, you would see, you may be pumped up, you feel like, what, yes, I can do this, I can achieve my goals for this year. But then tomorrow something else is going to happen, and it's going to almost bring you back to point zero. Okay, and what you would discover is that you start to go like, that, and before you know it, you go down. Okay, the Bible talks about the one that is, double-minded and is unstable. This is exactly what causes, one to plan in January and not be able to achieve during the year or later on in the year. So all of these things, as you're planning, first of all, make sure that your plans are realistic. Okay, now the way I usually would do my own is very similar to what Steve Harvey talked about, and he said, write out, brain dump all of the ideas of the great things that you think you would ever achieve in life or you would ever do. Okay, I'm going to pay for build an estate for pastors. Okay, I'm going to build an estate for visionaries. Okay, people that this is actually one of my personal goals, okay, in life. And because there was a time that I was in a position, my family and I, we didn't have $1, okay, to feed, okay, and it was so hard like that. And so some of these audacious goals, okay, you put them down. I'm going to buy a car for this. I'm going to feed this nation. I'm going to help this organization. I'm going to write all of those things, write them down. Personal goals too. I want to buy a new home, build our first home, whatever it is, that all those big audacious goals, write them all out. I want to make my first $1 million. I want to make my first $1,000, whatever it is that you want to, those are your ideas, write them all out. Okay. That's the way Steve Harvey talks about it. And he also actually talks about 100 list. Okay, write out 100 things, okay, that you want to do. I'm going to take my parents to on a trip. I'm going to take my children to the Wonderland or wherever. Just write them all out. I'm going to buy a car for my parents. I'm going to build a house for my whatever. Write it down. I'm going to give a tithe of $1 million. Write it down. Okay, whatever it is, write them all out. As long as it has come to your system, write it down. Okay, now what I now do is you write them all out, and then obviously that there's no way you would be able to achieve all those things in a year. In short, if you're just, for example, if you're the kind of person that you've been achieving a lot, over the years, you may be able to achieve a few of those things, in the year. But if you're just starting out and you're watching this right now, I'm assuming that you're just, getting the hang of, planning and effectively planning. So what you want to do is you want to find one. If you're a beginner, find one that you're ready to tackle now, okay? And go for it. go for it, and then identify what's going to limit you. Now, usually what I will do is I now take, out of, most of the times I will take out of that, I'll take, 10 out of it for that year, but I know I'm not going to achieve that 10. Okay. So, I'm going to now take, the first 4, I make sure I focus on that, and I kind of ballpark them on quarter by quarter. Okay. And then for that one first quarter, I'm going to attack that one. Okay. Now, what happens is the one quarter may not be, and I mean January, February, March. Okay. The first quarter of the year. The first quarter may not be enough. Okay. But it may also be too big. Okay. So, but the main thing is you take that one, what you're going to focus on at once is just one thing. I want to package my expertise as a legal advisor. Okay, for example, I want to package my expertise, and you take that one thing and you're going to focus on it for that one quarter, and you're going to do every single thing. Now, if you're at the stage where you're able to, get help, okay, this is the point where you now look at, who can I find that would guide me? Who do I know that does these things or that has achieved this before? Then you now go and find a way to connect with this kind of people. Many of them are already in your life. Okay, your family, your friends, your church members, and just look around. And I'm going to be talking about this, in February, a lot about relationships in February. But at this point, I want you to focus on who do I know that can guide me. A lot of times it could be books. A lot of times it could be YouTube. But the reason why I would mention YouTube, is I assume you already have your plan. You already know that one thing that you're focusing on. Because if you don't know, what will now happen is when you go into YouTube, everybody will start to tell you, no, it's me. Listen to me. And everybody will be pulling you on different directions, and then distraction starts to come in. And before you know it, even though you had a goal, you've forgotten your goal, and you just see you have started following this other person. You started thinking you wanted to go this way, you realize you're going this way. This is the ordeal of trying to do this, but you just keep, and this is why you write it out so that and the way I do it is everything that I plan to do for the year, I read through almost every day. And I go through to see, especially the scripture that God gives me for the year, I read it almost every day, okay? Because I want it to sink deep. And I don't want to, you don't want to get distracted with each person that you meet. Because, remember the first point I said is you need to become the leader. Because if you're not the leader, if you're not the one that is saying what's going to happen in your life, you see, you just keep, find another leader and you start to follow them, okay? But what you want is you want to find, your leader, let it be God, okay? And bring everything, write the vision, all the things that God is putting in your heart, write it down, okay? And again, become the leader. The second thing is identify and rework some of those invisible barriers that are in your mind, and plan to, it doesn't happen in one day, plan to do that all through the year. Identify that, say for example, if the idea of, I'm going to, success is not good. It's going to continue to pop up all through the year. And so when it pops up, this thing has popped up again. I need to remember, no. Don't give up. No, success is, God is actually the one that initiated this, and I'm going to get to the end of it. I'm going to actually begin to impact people. Okay. And so, and then the last and final piece, which is just these are things, because of time I'd like to stop here. The final one is you need to have I started talking about it, accountability structure in place. I cannot overemphasize this, how important it is for you to to have people around you that can hold you accountable, and these are, now this is not, you don't go sharing your goals with the whole world. You don't, especially if you're just starting out, okay? Like I just shared some of my goals here. If it was earlier on in my personal development and I would be like, no, you don't want to share anything with anybody. If you share it, it's not going to happen. No, it's, I already put some things in place that I know that is going to, I'm committed. I pay money. I pay money to hire people to keep me responsible, okay, to keep me accountable. Okay, and I'll pay for mastermind. And talking about that, I'm going to be, opening up my mastermind, which is now going to be an accountability kind of a place, where if you want to you need that hand holding, you need a place to practice and stuff like that. I'm going to be opening that up very soon. So if you want to be one of those people, and there's going to be a very huge discount at the beginning, which just, because even I am still trying to learn how it's going to be, because it's going to be really low. And so if you're interested in that, make sure you reach out, for that. But for now, what I want you to do is I want you to look around you and start to look at who are some of the people that I can talk to. What book do I need to read? Okay. You remember, you've already picked one thing that you want to do for the year. Okay. Who is that person that I can, talk to? I was talking with a lady yesterday, and she was telling me, she went to an older friend of hers, and she explained, this is what I believe I want to do for this year. Can you hold me accountable? Can you hold me, accountable to my words? And the person was like, absolutely, I'm going to hold you accountable. And the person told them, I need you to report to me every day. Right? You don't even need, if you're at the point where you're not able to afford someone to guide you, you can hire a friend. And I've shared this before, when I was going to write my first book, I didn't have money in short, I wasn't even in the space where I could hire an accountability coach, okay, which I did for my other books, for my most recent book, okay? But I told my friend, a friend of mine, very beautiful girl, lady, and she said to me, I'll call you every day. And she will call me every day. Did you write anything today? Did you write anything today? Anyway. So please put that in place in your life. And please, if you don't do all of these things and become the leader, the first point that I said was become the leader, become responsible. You're the number one person that is going to give an account later on when we get to heaven. That's why Miles Monroe says, at the graveyard is the richest place on earth. Why? Because there are so many books unwritten, so many things undone. Right? Okay. So become responsible, rise up, and don't let go of the victim mentality. Okay. Victim, it's because of this thing that somebody has done to me. It's because of this thing that another person, that's still victim mentality. You need to step away from being a victim and be a victor, especially if you know Jesus, you're already a victor. So let go of whatever it is that somebody has done against you, and hold on to God. Okay. Or even some of the hurts, some of the past errors that you've made. I was in that place where, I've made some errors and I'm like, it's so because of that, I can't. No. Okay. So be the leader. Then the next thing is identify and clear, all through the year, your invisible barriers. And the last one is set up a structure for accountability. Now, I'm bringing back, good news. I'm bringing back my clarity sessions, okay, clarity calls. And so after this is done, I'm going to put a link to this post for you to be able to book a 30-minute session with me. Now, this would apply to you, most especially if you want to, because I'm a business coach. If you want to start a business this year, or you want to find a way to, share your expertise, maybe you already have a business and you want to take it to the next level, this would be a very good thing for you. Now, it takes I grill you before you get time on my schedule. Okay. So, there's a couple of things that you need to do in order to be able to get this, but for real, go through it. And when you go through it, pick up a call, a session, and I'm going to be very glad to hang out with you for 30 minutes. And what I usually want to do in this session is I want to help you clarify what's limiting you, and then we can push, so that you can, go out there and actually start to do more of those things that clearly that you want to do, right? So I'm gonna put a link to this. Absolutely, you can send me an email, but I'm gonna put a link to this, where you can actually pick up a slot. Okay, pick up a 30 minutes where you and I are gonna go face to face on Zoom. And so don't, pick that up. And obviously, if you're not ready to to do a business, whatever it is that you're trying to do, this would be very good for you. And after this, if you want more help from me, I'll show you how you can get more help. But for this one, I'm going to be really glad to help you. Okay, so I'm really glad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Blessing. Thank you Kunle, for joining me. It's really, really awesome to have you guys join live. Thank you again. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm gonna post this also on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, I'm gonna put a link to the comments as well, so that you can have one of the sessions with me as well. All right, so again, I pray that this year is going to be really, really impactful for you in the name of Jesus. That all of those things that God planned to do in your life, all of those visions that God has dropped in your heart, you would actually embrace them, and you would receive grace and begin to do them in Jesus' name. Thank you for joining me for this very first live. Happy New Year, everyone. Very good hanging out with you, and I'll see you. Maybe I'll see you during the call. God bless you. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.